Okay. Uh, Hi, everyone. So I'm going to speak in English because I'm Argentinian, and if I try Portuñol, this is not going to work. So I'll try English, and let's see how it goes. So I'm Nico Ippolito. I am, oh, it's there. I am the VP of Artificial Intelligence at Veritran. I had my PhD at Imperial College London on the intersection between AI and software engineering. So essentially, I've studied how to make AI systems more robust and reliable, combining them with software engineering. And before that, I did my master's in computer science in Buenos Aires University. And to finish my academic, I would say, background, I now serve as the director of the AI master's program in San Andres University, also in Buenos Aires. Now, moving to my more industrial background, I spent the last 20 years leading groups and teams of AI engineers and researchers deploying AI products and models into production for Fortune 500 companies like American Airlines or Apple. Um, while doing so, part of my work, or I would say my specialty, is to bring innovation, to bring new algorithms, and to bring uh, state-of-the-art knowledge to real-life production-ready products. In the meantime, while I was doing so, I have the effort time and the integration time for thousands of API integrations and data integrations for thousands of AI pipelines. I improved or boosted software quality for more than 500 engineers in one software company. But additionally, I deployed dozens of AI products to production, helping tens of thousands of users. Now, those products are still running today, and they're still helping users worldwide. Now, combining that expertise that I gather over the years with the expertise that Veritran has with 19 years experience in the banking domain, and what I would say our expertise is simplifying banking. So we make banking flows for users simple and easy to follow, essentially having frictionless flows for our users. Uh, Now, we serve more than 50 million users all around the globe, and we are proudly connected with more than 50 leading banks in the world. Plus, we serve all of that in a secure way, in a reliable way, sustaining more than 50 billion transactions a year. Now, if you take all these two things that I mentioned, is what it takes us to the point of this talk. So essentially now, I want, before getting into the why this talk and the things I want to cover with you all is innovative, is let's think a bit about of the past. So how mass media used to reach us as customers. We used to have radios, we used to have TVs, and we used to have billboards. And in fact, coming here, I've seen a number of billboards. I've noticed that in Sao Paulo there are none of them. But regardless, we have these three media types that we had before, right, in the 20th century. What is different between these three media types is that they they have different aspects. So radio, uh, in some sense, hits your ears, TV grabs your eyes, and billboards are staring at you while you're driving in the highway, right? But the three of them share one thing. They are shouting to you one single message for everyone, regardless of your interest, or regardless of who you are. And essentially, they're shouting you that without really knowing if you're going to care. So, companies have spent millions in actually broadcasting a message, praying that someone would stick to it. But nowadays, we have something that changed that completely, which is We have a sensor-packed little device in our pocket. Well, it's not so little anymore. Now they're becoming bigger and bigger every time. But these devices, these smartphones, are becoming bigger and bigger, bigger and bigger. It's not part of the talk, however. But these devices have a lot of power and can talk to us in a specific way. Now, the main difference between the old days mass media and mobile phones now is, I would say, we can put it in three main things. First of all, mobile phones are on all the time. There are studies showing that we check our phones more than 150 times a day. Actually, if you check for teenagers, this goes up to 300 or even more times a day. Second, it's packed with sensors. So a mobile device have GPS, camera, microphone, even LiDAR radar in some cases. So this means that we know where the user is, what the user is doing, and even when the user is more receptive to some things, if we look carefully of what is happening in this device. And third, it's a two-way street of communication, because mobile phones can talk to us, mobile phones can show us things, can read faces, can listen to us. So essentially there's this communication channel between us and these mobile phones that is massive. Now, before we had a tool that was excellent for massiveness, but was very bad at precision. Now with phones we have the opposite. We have something that is very good at precision. And now, how do we leverage this in order to stop shouting our messages out loud, stop broadcasting our messages to everyone, and start recommending the right thing to the right person at the right time? And this is particularly interesting when we start thinking about open finance. And this is what actually this talk is about. How do we use this power, this capability, how do we leverage this capability in phones and translate it into consent in the context of open finance? Now, if you consider the compute power of one single phone, either of any of the phones that we have now, the compute power of one of these phones is by orders of magnitude more powerful than the entire compute power of the Apollo program. The Apollo program, by the way, took us to the moon, right? So if you combine those two things, if you combine all the things that we can know about our users and the compute power that we have, together with modern machine learning, and this is the other part of the conversation that I want to have with you today, essentially what we have is a tool that allows us to know exactly what the user wants even before they open the app. So every data that we get is extremely important, but in order to get the exact product to the exact user at the exact time, it's not enough to have some aggregations here or there or some average here or there. So we need specific signals for specific users. So every tap or every transaction or every credit score that we get willingly from our users, in other words, every consented data that we get from our users, personalized experience for our users, what we are doing is tossing gold bars to the trash can. But at the same time, faster competitors are actually translating that data into cash. So what can you get if you start leveraging that data? Well, a number of things, and I'll be talking about some of them, but in particular, you will be selling more because you'll know what to sell, when to sell it, and who to sell it. Also, you'll be lowering costs of acquisition of customers, because you'll know which customer or which non-customer to attract and how. But also, you'll be winning the loyalty and increasing engagement of your own users, because the experience is one that feels much more personalized. And this is central to boost retention. So essentially, you'll be selling more and you'll be retaining more customers. On top of that, you can also target non-customers in a more specific way. Now, the thing is, or the message I would say is, we have the data, we can have the data, but if you don't use it, you're tossing all your treasure to the drains or to the trash can. Now, what could you do on top of everything I said? Well, you could even create an ecosystem in terms of all the things that you see about your users. You could, of course, increase your customers. And one thing that is particularly nice, and I'll recap on this, I'll take back on this in a few minutes. You can, for example, know that that transaction is fraudulent in the instant that is about to happen, or in the instant that happened. So essentially, you can do that 24/7, because the data is telling you that. You can learn subtle patterns that are very hard to guess. And again, I'm telling you a number of things that I'll recap. I'll go back later in some more detail. And of course, a keyword or a buzzword that many of you are using or are hearing a lot: hyper-personalized experiences. Of course, because you know your users, you know what they want, and you know when to, you know what they want, and you know when to give it to them. Now, there's a lot of data that you have, and you can extract a lot of business value from it. But for that, you need those consents. But let's say you have them. Now, doing all of this by hand, no matter how clever, how talented, how many people you have in your BI departments, in your BI teams, is definitely expensive, it's definitely inefficient, but most likely it's impossible. So the best way to tackle this, or even before that, let me give you a metaphor that I think it works well. So imagine that you're looking at a needle in a haystack, but what is happening is actually that the haystack is growing as you're looking for the needle. So the amount of data that you're getting is growing constantly, and it's very hard to understand what is happening there, and the amount of patterns that you can find is completely impossible to track. Now, the good thing is that you have we humans are very good at thinking, and are very good at reasoning, and are very good at planning strategies. So the best combination here is to have humans planning the strategy, planning what products you want to leverage, what type of consents are the best for your institution at the right moment, but then letting the silicon, letting the machines do what the machines do best, targeting specific users massively, but with the specific products. Now, how do we do this? Now I get to the point more specifically. Essentially, we have huge amount of data. We process the data. Many of you may have seen this many times. You process the data, you generate machine learning models. And when I say machine learning models, I want to clarify something. I'm not saying Gen AI. This is machine learning models. These are models that are specifically trained on your data. And why is that? Because the purpose of this is to learn patterns, to understand your specific data and learn from it. And from there, the models and the products you generate with them can generate the exact action for the specific user in the specific channel. So essentially, you want to recommend a user, hey, if you give me, consent to your credit card transactions, I can give you, benefits on here, there. and how you deliver that to different groups or to different users. It's going to be a push notification. Is it going to be a banner in the app? Is it going to be an email? Well, likely it's not going to be an email, but in general, this is the main idea. So machine learning is telling you what to offer, when to offer it, and which channel to use to offer it. Now, imagine that you have all of that, and now you want to lift under the hood of all of this and say, hey, I've heard a lot of Gen AI. It's very simple, so I hit a button and this works. Well, this is not really how most of the apps that you have now running in your phones work. How this works is with advanced machine learning algorithms, like, for example, the two-tower neural networks. And imagine this. I'm gonna be quick here. Believe me, it's not gonna be that boring as it looks. So imagine this. You have all your users. You take all the information about your users, and now you convert that into a dot, and you throw it into the air. And now you have all your users in the air, and now you have all the products you have in the air as well. Every two dots that are close together are likely to like each other. Now, whenever you have a new product or a new user, you want to understand if a particular user is gonna, for example, accept a recommendation on a particular consent, let's say credit card information. So you convert the user into a vector, into a particular dot, you convert this consent into a dot, and you multiply them, and believe me, you multiply them. And if the AI score you get is small, then the user is likely to accept this consent. Of course, I'm telling you a simplified story, but this is roughly one of the ideas you may have. Now, what happens if I have not so much data? Because this is a neural network. This requires a lot of data. If you need less data, well, you can use decision trees. I assume most of you know what a decision tree is. Banking industry, decision trees, it's something that happened for many years. Well, the type of algorithms we use may combine 100 of trees with that are 1,000 stories tall, and so on and so on. So essentially, the idea behind this is that the type of algorithms that you need to use are not trivial, but you need to know three things. You need to know, and you need to understand quite well, what data you have, how much data you have, what type of data you have. Do you have credit data? Do you have products data? Do you have data that distinguish what the user, where the user lives? Do you have that? Do you don't? Depending on that, you will change or not what to use. Then business goals. Are you wanting to detect fraud transactions, or you want to, for example, detect, or you want to recommend something? And finally, how you measure this. It's definitely not trivial how to measure this, because you need to align everything here. Now, once you have all of that, still these projects fail, and fail badly. And these numbers are in particular taken not so much from the machine learning world exclusively, but in particular also from the Gen AI world. So the perception from the leaders in companies is that there's an urgency of implementing AI, implementing Gen AI. In particular, Gen AI is a keyword that you'll see everywhere, and mention AI all the time, everywhere. Now, to do all of that, you need to have the proper infrastructure, the proper data, and more important than actually all of that, the proper talent, the proper team alignment, the proper leadership alignment, and the proper business alignment. So the business goal has to justify the technology, not the other way around. So looking for using AI just for the sake of it is not the right fit. Now, If we are looking to extend, for example, and I emphasize this, the number of consents we get, knowing exactly which of our users will be likely to accept to give us, for example, transactions in a credit card for us to leverage that and give them a better experience is critical. Now, and essentially this is what we've done. We put together a number of algorithms, we tested them, we aligned the business, we aligned the business, we aligned the algorithms, we aligned the metrics, and we put together a product that essentially does that. It can recommend products, it can recommend recommendations, either way, because, recommend recommendations is it's kind of trivial. It can recommend consents, it can recommend products, and typically what you will do, you will first say, well, look, I need your consent because the more data I have from you, the better I will recommend you products, and the better will be your experience. So it's kind of a virtuous cycle where, I know you more, I'll give you a better experience. So this is what we've done. And the interesting thing is that it's not one size fits all. So you need to have a number of things implemented behind the scenes in order to make this work. And last but it's not last, but one thing that is important to know is that it's not that there's no competition here for the people that already share their insights or their consents. There's 80 million active consents right now in Brazil. So essentially this means that roughly 20 million people already gave at least roughly four consents. So we now can recommend financial products to these people, targeted specifically for each one of them, automatically. On top of that, we can grow this to much more if we know who to recommend the consents to. Now, again, by doing all of this is just a wrap up, but we can cut costs, we can sell more, we can boost retention, and of course we can increase our capacity for getting new customers. So if any of this that I mentioned now caught your eye and you want to talk about either things about product, things about hardcore AI or geeky things, me and my colleagues are going to be in the booth 83 and 84, somewhere around there. This is too big for me to find the place, but it's 83 and 84. And again, thank you very much, and that's all for me. Thank you.